Hello and welcome to another step-by-step how to tie tutorial video. This is the Christmas popper. This is a special fly, so it deserves a specialty hook. This is a Daiichi 2720. This is a size 2 wide gap stinger hook. For a tying thread, I'm just using a basic 210 denier flat wax thread. This happens to be white. Color is not too important. The tail is a little bit of yellow bucktail. We are using a little bit of H2O multi-mix flash. This is the frog. I like it because of the yellow and green. We are also using a little bit of an underbody underneath the hackle. I am using a UV light yellow. Over top of that will be a yellow hackle feather. The legs up front are a hot orange bug leg by Fly Tires Dungeon. The head up front, of course, is a little Christmas present. And we have 4mm eyes that we'll be using. So let's go ahead and remove our sample, and we can secure our hook in the vise. And the first thing I'm going to do is prepare my Christmas present by poking a hole so I can slide the hook through. And I'm just going to use my bodkin, and it's a foam interior, but I just want to make sure I puncture that wrapping paper a little bit. And we'll slide this onto the hook, oh so carefully. There we go. And that'll just get us our initial measurement. So we can cast on our thread behind that. And that will let us know how far we can bring our thread forward and our material forward without interfering with the body. So we'll go ahead and pop that off just to get it out of the way. We'll set this back under the tree, and we'll take our thread wraps all the way to the rear where we'll tie in our bucktail. And I'm just going to pick off a small section right at the tip and trim that off of the hide. We'll just take a quick moment and clean out our under fur. And we're going to run this through our hair stacker. Tips down. And we'll just line up those tips as best as we can. I'm not going to go too critical with this. And we're going to measure this out 1 hook's length, thereabouts. And we'll tie this in at the bend of the hook. A couple tight locking wraps. I'm going to bring my thread forward and set that back down and take a bite up front. Trim off our excess. And bring our thread back to the rear. Now we can tie in our flash mix. Just going to come in here and take a few strands with my whip finish tool. Let's see, I got 3-4 strands thereabouts. Trim that off. We're going to fold it over once. Trim our loop, and we'll fold it over twice. Trim our loops. Alright, let's go ahead and just line this flash up, same length as our tail. We'll secure that down the shank of the hook. And we can trim off our excess. Alright, once again, we'll take our thread to the rear, where we will tie in our hackle feather. It's hackle time. Alright, I don't have too much area to cover, so I don't need a full length. We'll just trim that about there. And we'll do our high and tight, creating our little anchor point up front, where we can tie that in. Alright, let's get a touch of wax on our thread, and we'll prepare to get our dub on. Just a touch of wax. And like always with our dubbing, less is more. This is again the UV light yellow. And I'm just doing a small little puff. I'm just doing enough to cover the thread wraps and that bucktail. This will give a nice little underbody for that hackle feather to rest on. Here we go. Let's go ahead and grab our hackle pliers. And we can run our hackle forward. We'll do a nice evenly spaced spiral, working from the rear to the front of this rear section. Alright, let's try that again. Round 2. It's always a delicate balance between tension and losing your grip. We'll just slowly work this forward, where this will meet up with the rear end of our Christmas present. A little present for the bass. There's always an epic Christmas popper hatch, which this will make them happy. Remove our hackle pliers, take a couple more tight locking wraps, and we'll trim off our tip. Alright, now at this point, usually what we do is we spin our thread counterclockwise to get a flat wrap. This time I'm going to spin it clockwise to rope up the thread a little bit. I want to give a little bit of material for the glue to adhere to, so I'm just going to take a couple of wraps back and forth along the shank of the hook where that present will rest. Alright, we're done with our thread. We'll finish this with the 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3 turns on the whip. And we can trim off our tying thread. Alright, next let's grab a little dab of glue, and we'll carefully just add a little bit to the top portion of the shank of the hook. Doesn't take much. And we will slide our Christmas present back onto the hook through that little hole we punctured earlier. Carefully slide this forward just so the eye sticks through. Here we go. We're just going to let that sit for a second. Let that glue set up. While that's setting up, we'll just come in with our bodkin and see if we can't tease some of that out. Excellent. Next, let's go ahead and get our legs in. I will puncture a hole. This will be right behind the ribbon. I'm just going to remove the fly from the vise for a moment so I can make sure I get a nice straight line. Once our hole is pre-punctured, we'll come in with our leg puller and go through that same hole. Alright, let's go ahead and get our legs out. This is just one rubber leg. Again, this is a standard bug leg size. And we can go ahead and thread our leg through and slide it through the popper body. Once that's through, let's go ahead and take our scissors and trim that free and establish a good length for our legs, which looks about right there. At this point, we can secure the present back in the vise, where we'll finish gluing these legs in. And on the far side, I will pull them out a little bit and add a spot of glue. Turn so you can see. Just a small little spot of glue right at the hole. And as I pull the legs through, it will grab some of that glue and lock it in. Alright, last but not least, the popper definitely needs some eyes. So we'll go ahead and just add a drop of glue here. And we'll just set our eyes right on top. And the last dab of glue. Here we go. And we'll get our eye positioned right about there. I want them to be about even. So there you have it. That is the Christmas present popper. This is tied on a size 2 wide gap stinger hook. Alright everybody, thank you for watching. Happy holidays, Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, happy tie-in, and with this one, tight lines.